Welcome to World Numismatic Finds, where we uncover the hidden gems rattling around in Britain's past. And today we're diving into 4 overlooked threepence coins that collectors often ignore but absolutely shouldn't. From the faded 1941 piece, the grimy 1954 issue, the dilapidated 1943 wartime survivor, to the rust-kissed 1967 coin, each one holds more value and more intrigue than most realize. These humble coins might just sit in an old jar or attic box, but with the right knowledge, they could rank among the top rare UK pieces collectors are hunting for right now. Let's reveal why these modest threepences may be worth far more than you think. Let's get started up with the 1941 UK Threepence begins with a warm welcome to viewers who are always hungry for extraordinary numismatic discoveries. This little 12-sided coin, often overlooked in everyday life, carries within it a powerful piece of British wartime history. Even in a faded condition, the 1941 brass threepenny bit holds a charm that continues to tempt collectors, investors, and enthusiasts who are eager to uncover hidden pockets of value from the past. Today, we explore how this modest wartime coin has managed to survive through the decades and still spark serious interest in the modern coin market. To appreciate this coin fully, one must understand the background from which it emerged. Minted under the reign of King George VI, the 1941 threepence was produced during a time when Britain was deeply entrenched in the Second World War. Materials were scarce, industries were strained, and the country was relentlessly pushing forward despite overwhelming pressure. As a result, the production of circulating coinage needed to be practical, efficient, and durable. The brass threepence, introduced only a few years earlier, became a symbol of resilience. Its unusual 12-sided shape and sturdy metal composition made it instantly recognizable in pockets and purses throughout the nation, and even today, that design remains one of the most distinctive in British currency history. When turning the coin in the hand, even if faded, it still presents a fascinating visual narrative. On the obverse, the portrait of King George VI, though softened over time, retains its dignified profile. His steady likeness is a reminder of wartime leadership and national unity. The reverse of the coin displays the classic thrift plant, a traditional emblem of hardiness growing even in desolate conditions. This little botanical symbol was chosen deliberately, representing the nation's ability to survive and flourish despite adversity. Even when the coin has lost its sharpness and some of its fine detailing, the shape, the edge definition, and the overall form retain an unmistakable character that collectors genuinely appreciate. Its cultural and historical significance extends far beyond its nominal face value. This was a coin that circulated in the pockets of factory workers, soldiers returning on leave, families under rationing pressure, and communities trying to rebuild lives during wartime. It became not just a piece of metal, but a silent witness to the endurance of the British public. Every faded threepence from 1941 tells a different story, one of bus tickets purchased, loaves of bread bought, letters mailed, and livelihood supported at a time when every small act mattered. Such emotional depth adds an irreplaceable layer of appeal for collectors, as these coins act as miniature time capsules of the United Kingdom's wartime experience. When describing its physical attributes, the 1941 threepence weighs approximately 6.8 grams and is composed of brass, giving it a uniquely warm yellow tone when new. Age and circulation often reduce this luster considerably, which is why many surviving examples now appear dull or faded. Yet, this softened coloration is often embraced by collectors who appreciate the authenticity and journey that visible wear represents. The 12-sided shape also ensured practicality, allowing people even in the dark or during blackouts to recognize the coin instantly by touch. This tactile distinction is part of what makes the coin so beloved today. Among its key facts, one of the most attractive qualities is its status as part of Britain's wartime mintage. While millions were produced, not all survived in collectible condition. Many were melted down, lost, or worn to the point of unrecognizability. Those that do remain, even in faded form, retain a demand driven not by pristine beauty but by historical richness. Collectors often view the 1941 issue as an essential addition to any George VI era or wartime-themed set, making it a coin that rarely loses interest in the market. In terms of rarity, the 1941 threepence is not considered extremely rare, but the condition plays a major role in its desirability. Faded examples like the one we are discussing still hold steady value because they reflect the genuine nature of circulation during the war years. Collectors frequently prefer coins with original surfaces, even if worn, rather than pieces that have been cleaned or tampered with. The natural patina and smoothness of an authentically aged example add to its charm. As a result, even coins that do not appear mint-fresh continue to attract strong interest, particularly from those building historical sets or seeking coins with authentic wartime wear. Today's market value for a 1941 UK Threepence in faded condition generally ranges between $4,500 to $6,000 depending on eye appeal, originality, and demand fluctuations. While not overwhelmingly expensive, this coin remains consistently sought after because it forms a key date within a beloved series. High-grade examples can reach significantly higher prices, but even well-circulated pieces maintain a dependable level of collectability. The affordability combined with increasing historical curiosity creates a perfect balance that keeps this coin highly relevant in the modern numismatic scene. Collectors interested in securing a strong example should always pay attention to authenticity and originality. Avoid polished or heavily cleaned coins, as they often lose the historical character that gives a wartime threepence its natural charm. Seek pieces that retain their natural surfaces even if worn, as these are the coins that hold the strongest long-term desirability. Building a set from the George VI Threepence series is an enjoyable pursuit as each year tells its own story, but the wartime dates stand out with special emotional and historical weight. Bringing everything together, the 1941 UK Threepence in faded condition remains a magnificent reminder of Britain's resilience during one of the most testing periods in national memory. Its modest design, distinct shape, wartime symbolism, and deep cultural connections ensure that it continues to fascinate collectors around the world. Even in worn form, it retains a value far beyond its monetary worth, carried by the stories it represents and the era it survived. For anyone interested in building a thoughtful, meaningful, and historically rich collection, this wartime threepenny bit is not only a delightful acquisition but an essential fragment of British heritage that continues to shine in its own understated way. At number 2, the 1954 UK Threepence coin, a modest yet captivating relic from the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Even in a dirty or heavily handled condition, this coin holds an undeniable charm and continues to attract strong attention from collectors who appreciate its heritage, its distinctive design, and its place within Britain's long numismatic tradition. Although it may not shine like it once did, its significance endures, making it a fascinating piece worth examining closely. To understand the appeal of the 1954 Threepence, it helps to revisit the circumstances of its creation. Struck during the post-war era, this coin emerged at a time when Britain was gradually rebuilding, modernizing, and reshaping its identity under a newly crowned monarch. The nation was transitioning from austerity to optimism, and every item in circulation silently captured that atmosphere. The brass threepence was already a well-recognized part of everyday currency, known for its unconventional dodecagonal shape and solid feel. Its production continued into the early years of Elizabeth II's reign, carrying forward a piece of pre-decimal British life that would soon disappear with the introduction of decimalisation in the 1970s. The appearance of the 1954 Threepence is instantly recognisable, even when the coin is dirty or aged. On the obverse side lies the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, crafted with traditional elegance and designed to reflect the dignity and composure of a monarch beginning her lifelong service. Time may have worn away some of its fine detail, but the essence of this early royal depiction remains strongly visible. Turning to the reverse, one finds the iconic crowned thrift plant, a design familiar to generations of Britons. The raised edges, the structured petals, and the regal crown above it were all intended to give the coin a distinct identity in hand and make it easy to distinguish from others in pockets or purses. Even in worn condition, these features preserve a proud sense of Britain's artistic and symbolic heritage. Beyond its physical design, the coin carries cultural and historical significance that stretches far beyond monetary value. It is a reminder of an era shaped by national resilience and renewal, a time when the monarchy played a symbolic role in unity, and the public began embracing a new sense of national confidence. This coin travelled through countless hands, workers, families, shopkeepers, all contributing to daily British life. It witnessed small stories, everyday exchanges, and the rhythm of 1950s Britain, making it far more meaningful than its humble denomination suggests. The specifications of the 1954 Threepence highlight the sturdiness and practicality of its design. Struck in brass and weighing around 6.8 grams, the coin was intentionally created to be easy to recognize among the various circulating denominations. Its 12-sided form made it instantly distinguishable both visually and by touch, a feature that endeared it to many and contributed to its lasting fame. Even collectors today appreciate the craftsmanship and engineering that went into producing such a durable and distinctive coin. In terms of essential facts, the 1954 Threepence represents one of the early pieces under Elizabeth II's portrait series and remains an appealing item for those building their collections of mid-century British coinage. Although not extremely rare, it is still sought after due to its historical position and the nostalgia attached to the pre-decimal era. Many collectors value it as a key entry point into the world of British numismatics, and its popularity continues to grow as people rediscover older forms of currency and appreciate the stories behind them. When examining rarity, condition always plays a major role in determining desirability, even for coins that are more commonly found. A dirty example, such as the one under discussion, may not command premium prices, yet it still holds solid collector interest because of the era it represents. While pristine or uncirculated pieces attract higher bids, a worn or dirty 1954 threepence remains a worthwhile acquisition for those who enjoy coins with authentic signs of age and circulation. Its charm comes from its journey, and many collectors prefer pieces that clearly show they have lived through real history. In today's market, a 1954 threepence in dirty or heavily handled condition generally sells for a modest price, typically ranging from $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the degree of wear, clarity of design, and buyer interest. However, demand for pre-decimal British coins has been rising steadily, and even lower-grade examples can become more valuable as more collectors turn their attention to the mid-20th century era. While it may not be classed among the rarest coins, it enjoys strong and consistent interest due to its place in early Elizabeth II numismatics. For collectors seeking to preserve or acquire such a coin, a few considerations can help enhance the experience. Avoid aggressive cleaning methods, as these can damage the surface and reduce its long-term worth. Store the coin in a dry protective holder to slow further deterioration, and aim to acquire examples with as much legibility and detail as possible. Building a strong collection often involves appreciating coins in every condition, and even dirty or worn pieces can add meaningful depth and authenticity to a set. In closing, the 1954 UK Threepence coin remains a small yet compelling reminder of Britain's post-war transformation and the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Its distinctive design, cultural relevance, and sturdy construction continue to draw the attention of enthusiasts who appreciate history preserved in metal. While its market value may be modest, its real worth lies in the story it carries and the connection it offers to a bygone era of British life. Whether displayed proudly in a personal collection or discovered in a forgotten drawer, it stands as a timeless piece of the nation's numismatic heritage. At number 3, the 1967 UK Threepence coin, a small yet meaningful piece of pre-decimal currency that continues to intrigue collectors across generations. Even when found in a rusty or aged state, this coin carries a charm that speaks of the final moments before the United Kingdom stepped boldly into the decimal era. It is a coin that stands at the very edge of a turning point in British coinage, and because of this, the 1967 issue has become a symbol of nostalgia, value, and historical appreciation. As we explore this particular piece, its design, its backstory, and its modern-day demand, you will understand why many collectors still hold a soft spot for this coin, especially when it shows the natural aging and color changes that only time can create. To appreciate the essence of this 1967 threepence, it helps to understand the world in which it first circulated. This was the final year the brass 12-sided threepenny coin was minted for regular use, marking the end of a tradition that stretched back centuries. At the time, the United Kingdom was preparing for decimalisation, an enormous shift in currency that would transform the way money was counted, exchanged, and understood by the British public. The humble threepence had long been part of daily life, used commonly in everything from purchasing sweets to small household goods, and by 1967 it had already cemented its place in the hearts of the people. The coin from this year effectively represents the last breath of an era, a final farewell to one of Britain's most recognisable small-value denominations. Looking at the design itself, the obverse proudly carries the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the young and graceful effigy sculpted by Mary Gillick. It is one of the most admired portraits of the Queen, often described as fresh, regal, and symbolic of the hopeful post-war era. When you flip the coin over, the distinctive 12-sided shape adds immediate character, while the reverse displays the ornate crowned portcullis, a long-standing emblem associated with Parliament and British identity. Even with rust, patina, or fading due to age, these details often remain visible enough to remind collectors of the craftsmanship and intention behind every element of the design, honouring both tradition and national pride. Beyond its physical features, the 1967 threepence carries cultural weight because it was part of Britain's daily rhythm for so long. It represents childhood memories, regional market exchanges, and the steady passage of British life before modernisation changed the nation's monetary landscape forever. Collectors often view these coins as personal relics of the past, each piece carrying silent stories about pockets it once jingled in, shops it passed through, and decades it survived. Its connection to the end of pre-decimal currency elevates its status, making even worn or rusty examples desirable to those who appreciate the narrative behind the metal. In terms of its technical specifications, the coin was struck in nickel brass, giving it a warm golden tone when fresh, although many surviving pieces today show signs of oxidation that can turn the surface rusty or dark. It weighs approximately 6+ grams, giving it a solid and unmistakable feel that distinguished it from other small coins of the period. Its unique shape and material set it apart not only visually but also in the hand, ensuring that even with age or corrosion, it is instantly recognizable. Collectors are often drawn to the 1967 threepence because of several notable facts. It was minted in large quantities to prepare for the coming transition, ensuring there were enough coins in circulation up to decimalization. Although this means the coin is not extremely rare in a technical sense, specific examples, especially those with unusual toning, natural aging, or untouched original surfaces, continue to capture interest. Ironically, a rusty or weathered example can sometimes add character rather than diminish appeal, particularly for collectors who value authenticity over perfection. Condition always plays a role, but charm and historical relevance also have a strong voice in determining desirability. When assessing the coin's rarity and market value today, the condition is naturally a major factor. A rusty 1967 threepence typically sits at the more affordable end of the spectrum, making it a perfect entry-level collectible for beginners. Yet, despite the modesty of the coin, it still retains demand because of its connection to the last year of the series. In today's market, a heavily worn or rusty piece usually sells between $2,500 to $4,000, depending on appearance and level of corrosion, while cleaner examples may sell for slightly higher. Still, even the lower-priced ones enjoy steady demand due to nostalgia and the coin's symbolic place in Britain's monetary history. For anyone considering adding one of these coins to their collection, it is always wise to handle it with care and examine the surfaces closely. Rust should not discourage you. In fact, many collectors prefer coins that show their age proudly, as long as the details remain identifiable. Storing these pieces properly, keeping them away from moisture, and avoiding harsh cleaning methods will help preserve whatever condition they currently hold. Collecting coins from the final years before decimalization is a rewarding experience, and the 1967 threepence is one of the easiest and most meaningful stepping stones into that world. As we wrap up today's exploration, the 1967 UK threepence stands out as a coin that may not be extremely rare in terms of mintage, yet holds exceptional value in spirit, memory, and cultural significance. Whether rusty or pristine, it captures the essence of a pivotal moment in British currency history. It is a coin that continues to attract collectors, a reminder of a time when the old system still reigned and Britain was preparing for change. For anyone who loves coins with character, personality, and a deep connection to the past, the 1967 threepence remains a delightful and worthwhile addition to any collection. At number 4, the 1943 UK threepence coin. This modest piece of brass, even when found in a heavily dilapidated state, carries a story that stretches far beyond its small size. It represents a turbulent chapter in British history, a shift in coinage materials, and a growing interest among collectors who know the hidden potential behind these weathered survivors of the 1940s. Today, we'll explore its background, its iconic design, its cultural significance, its physical traits, its rarity, and of course, the current market value in dollars. By the end of the video, you'll see why this coin continues to attract attention, even when its condition is far from perfect. This 1943 threepence comes from a time when the world was deep in the struggles of the Second World War. Britain's resources were being stretched to the limit, and this included the metals used for coin production. The traditional silver alloy threepence had already been retired, and in its place came the distinctive brass 12-sided threepenny bit. The 1943 issue was struck during the height of wartime rationing, when conserving materials was as important as maintaining the nation's currency circulation. Every coin struck in that year holds the echoes of a nation working tirelessly through hardship, and this gives even the most battered specimen a depth of meaning. On the obverse of this coin, you'll find the portrait of King George VI, captured with the straightforward dignity that characterized his reign. Even if the coin's condition is dilapidated, the outline of his profile often still clings to the surface, reminding us of the monarch who led Britain through some of its darkest days. The reverse side, commonly called the tail, carries the famous thrift plant design, a symbol of resilience and enduring hope during wartime. Although wear and corrosion may have softened its details, the hexagonal shape of the coin remains unmistakable, and that alone is enough to identify it instantly among British collectors. Culturally and historically, the 1943 threepence stands as a small but powerful relic of the United Kingdom's wartime identity. It reflects a country adapting its resources, shifting its priorities, and pressing forward despite overwhelming challenges. Every scratch, stain, and mark on a dilapidated coin from this year can be seen as part of its wartime journey, whether it was exchanged in shops surviving blackout restrictions or carried in the pockets of factory workers, soldiers on leave, or everyday families simply trying to get by. In terms of physical characteristics, this coin weighs roughly 6.8 grams and is made from brass, giving it its distinctive yellow tone when new. though many coins from 1943 have since darkened, tarnished, or corroded due to their age and the environments they pass through. Its 12-sided design makes it instantly recognizable even in worn condition, and its sturdy brass composition helped many examples survive decades of handling. Some key facts make the 1943 threepence particularly interesting. It was minted in large numbers for wartime circulation, which means it is not inherently rare, but it becomes far more compelling when found with unique flaws, unusual hues, or signs of heavy age that appeal to collectors of historical currency. Although a dilapidated coin is not considered high-grade, it still holds charm for those who appreciate the authenticity of coins that truly lived through the era they represent. The demand is often fueled by the fact that wartime coins are highly collected across the world, not only in the UK, which keeps interest alive even for coin examples that are far from perfect. When considering rarity and condition together, a heavily worn 1943 threepence is more of a historical piece than a premium collectible. However, demand for wartime British coinage remains consistent, and even dilapidated coins can attract buyers who enjoy restoring coins, filling sets, or owning examples that show genuine circulation use. While pristine specimens are naturally more valuable, lower-grade coins continue to move frequently on the collector market due to their affordability and narrative appeal. As for its current market value, a 1943 threepence in dilapidated condition typically sells in today's collector market for around $2,500 to $3,500. In some cases, depending on the degree of wear, tone, and buyer interest, it may fall slightly outside that range. It is not considered a high-value rarity in poor condition, but it remains a desirable piece for collectors who focus on wartime numismatics or who want to complete a year set without spending a premium. Collectors who encounter this coin should always examine its authenticity, its metal quality, and any remaining visible details. Even in poor condition, it is worth handling carefully and storing properly to prevent further corrosion. Those building collections of George VI coins often look for transitional years like 1943, so there is always a place for this coin, even when it shows its age. Cleaning is usually avoided unless performed by someone who understands the risks, as excessive cleaning can damage the surface further. Simply preserving the coin and appreciating its historical context is often the best approach. In conclusion, the 1943 UK threepence coin, even in a dilapidated and heavily worn state, is far more than just an old piece of brass. It is a miniature artifact of British wartime resilience, a symbol of economic adaptation, and a small but meaningful chapter of numismatic history. Its modest market value does not diminish its cultural weight or its charm among collectors who appreciate authenticity and historical depth in their coins. If you come across one, whether in a mixed lot, a family drawer, or a collector's box, take a moment to appreciate the journey it has taken across more than 80 years. Coins like this, though not financially dramatic, remain timeless reminders of Britain's endurance and the fascinating world of numismatic discovery. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned to World Numismatic Finds for more rare and valuable coin discoveries from around the world.